information.
Hey, it's James Lee.
And I'm Tasha Lee.
We're Elevate Marriages. We are marriage advocates. We are in love for 26 years now.
Yes.
Yeah, 26.
Elevating marriages for 22.
Absolutely. Coming to you to bring you information, to kind of help you navigate through this thing called life, marriage life, right? Um, we don't claim to be anything more than two vessels that the Lord uses and has given us direction and guidance to be able to speak truths from our own personal experience to give to you so that you can avoid some of the pitfalls that is sure to come. That's sure to come.
And most of the ones that we've been through ourselves. So we can speak through experience or someone we know or anything that can help you along the way. So that's what our goal is. We do not take we don't take this lightly. We definitely take this seriously, and we appreciate even a few minutes that you come to spend with us. If you are interested in us being your marriage mentors, or if you have some video ideas, or just want to just shoot us a message, please feel free to do so at the leads at elevatemarriages.com. Again, the leads at elevatemarriages.com. We would love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Now, what's up with this new live we're doing here? All live questions coming up.
It is. So,
instant input.
It's something different. It's something that we're trying to kind of get some input from the peoples. So we actually encourage you to join us in the comments if you have a question about anything. We want to be able to hear what you're saying, and if you want to even come on to speak to us, we can actually drop a link down there for you, so you can actually get into the conversation yourself if you dare. You know what I'm saying? People are, they talk about being for real about this marriage game, but you don't really realize how I would say difficult it can be and how challenging it can be. But there's always opportunity for growth in all areas. So it's a new concept for us to do it this way. Not that it's always going to be this way, but we wanted to at least give it a shot and kind of see what the people thought. And so we're here to talk and discuss about this marriage thing. So specifically.
So tonight we were talking, and what made us go ahead and get on was we're talking about just the change in marriage. As I said before, we've been married for 22 years and we have been together for 26. So there's a lot of growth. Physically.
Yeah, I've grown a little bit physically.
Me too. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that, you grow. So we're talking about way back, I don't know, in our 20s compared to where we are now and who we are and how much that has changed, and how much we've developed. And is it okay that we have changed as well to suit each other so that our marriage continues to grow and get better and better? Or are you supposed to just be, hey, the same way I loved you when I found you is the way I love you now? How does that happen? How do you move and groove and grow in that way?
Well, I'll just say this in full transparency. If you think about marriage, the institution of marriage, being with someone that you love for the rest of your life, that one person, it can sound mind-blowingly boring, quite frankly. To say that that's going to be what will happen for the rest of your life. So the way that you keep things interesting, the way that you keep things on track and exciting is you do have to change. You got to pivot with life. You have to, from when you first get together, when maybe you have no kids, and then you have children, maybe you move to a different area. You have to do things that will make the marriage exciting. So you have to change how you do things. Let's say you came into the marriage and let's say you didn't let's say you didn't cook. You know, that just kind of wasn't your strong suit. But you married someone that likes to eat. Or
You like to eat.
yeah, you like to eat. Whatever the case is, you have to get in a position to where maybe you go learn some recipes, get on YouTube and start cooking. Maybe cooking in there together to do those things. To kind of spice it up.
Hmm.
Um, maybe you have someone that maybe you by some sick chance you married a quote unquote introvert. Don't want to go anywhere. Homebody, as they call it.
No, that is not an introvert.
No,
No, just
why?
because
Because
I
you're a
feel like
homebody.
I am a
See,
I am a
guilty.
homebody, but I'm not an introvert. Most people wouldn't say that I'm an introvert. I'm a closet introvert. I think I am. I'm kind of
I know you don't
quiet.
like people. I know.
I
Just
don't.
tell the
Whatever. That's not true.
truth.
It's not true. Either way, what we are saying is that just who James was when he was 19, 20 years old is not who he is now.
Right.
And if I still treated him like the man I met at 19, 20 years old now, I think we would have a problem. Not just the
Yeah.
whole cooking thing or the whole, oh, you don't like to travel, I like to travel thing, because those are things I think you work out in the very beginning. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Sometimes you'll do this, sometimes I'll do that, whatever. I think you work on that in the beginning. But I think what I was really more talking about is the maturity of the marriage. Your marriage has to mature with you
Oh yeah,
as you
absolutely,
mature. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? As far as how you talk to each other, the
Yes,
things you say, how you respect me, how you love me, has to grow and mature as the person grows and matures. That's the part I was really talking
agreed.
about. Just how do you kind of really get that together, and how do you allow that marriage to um, mature and grow as the person matures and grows?
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
that is very true. So you have to learn. As you grow together, you have to learn each other um,
Constantly.
constantly.
Yes.
Because we all deal with things outside of the marriage, outside of the household, that can play or bring it, change the dynamic of the relationship, be it work, church,
Hmm.
friends, all that stuff. You can't behave the way you behave when you were 18, 19, 20, 21 years
Well, at
old.
least you shouldn't.
You shouldn't, at
Yes.
least.
Yes.
Now, we know some that's still kind of out there doing, their thing. No judgment.
Right.
If
Right.
that's
Right.
what you like to do, that's your
And
business.
if that works for your boo, it works for your boo.
Yes, absolutely. But the idea is that those things, some of them have to pivot, because you now have another individual in your life that matters, and not just matters. I mean, that should be a part of your thought process. So
Right.
when you make decisions regarding how you interact with the world outside of the house, you should be thinking about your spouse.
Hmm.
You're not, I'm a single man. I'm this and that. No, not anymore, man. You got a wife. You got to do things differently. You have to walk differently. You have to talk differently because the representation of what you have at home, it's key, man. You can't just be out there wilding out like you used to.
And it makes a big difference,
It
not only how you
does.
treat me in the house, but how you act outside the house when I'm not there. That maturity has to still be there later. So I think that's really really big, and I think sometimes people don't um, realize, or in marriage you don't realize. Okay, yes, we have been changing and growing, or you hear couples say, "Well, he didn't used to do this, or she
Right.
used to be like this, or he used to be like that." Well, is that something that should have continued, or is that something that really should have fell away because we were 21 years old?
Right. And I mean, I think we get to a point to where we can get selfish
Mm.
in the marriage,
Hmm.
and we feel like, oh, we don't have to change. This is who I am. This is how I am. This is how she met me. This is how I'm going to be. So be it. uh, you could be that way, but it probably won't go over well for you.
Not long term.
Yeah, definitely. Because marriage it should be a servant relationship. It's not a selfish thing.
Right.
Which I said so many times, outside of carrying a child in your body for 10 months, marriage is probably the most selfless thing you can actually do in life, because you are giving yourself and becoming one and living in a space to where you do have to think about the other person. You do have to serve one another in an area to where it almost brings you strength. I want to serve you because I know that'll make me stronger, and in turn, you'll do the same for me,
Which
and
will
I'll
make me
get
stronger.
me. You're right, exactly, and then we'll get ultimately what we both want
Hmm.
because we're serving each other. Um, but people miss that. They miss that so many times, and we get so selfish because it's about me, and that's not what marriage is about.
Nope.
It isn't.
I definitely think that that's what ends up happening because you still are operating as such an individual, right? If you guys go back and even look at some of our earlier videos about the whole cake marriage, it's about how all those ingredients, the eggs, the flour, the
Right.
water, the oil, the oven, even the pan, even how all that comes together to make one cake, right? All those things you need in a marriage to work together to make one thing. That is what you do in a marriage, period. That individuality dies out so that you can become one with each other. And so as that dies out, I have to do things that I know are best for him because he is me and I am him,
Right.
right? So when we work together to get that done, that's how we win. It's only one team lead. So that's how we work together just to make sure it works. And I think that when you talk about not being selfish and having that servant attitude, that is the way you have to come into it, and you have to think about it on a daily basis because we are speak for myself. I am selfish by nature, right? I do think about Tasha a lot, right? But of course, in thinking about that, I have to think about what's best, and I have to get back into the mentality of the you and I, me and you,
Right.
as one.
And it can be tough. It can be tough. That's why it's important to change, because if you get used to being selfish, you're used to
Mm.
worrying about yourself, um, and now you got this other person that's in there. You got to be worried about them and their feelings and their thoughts. Man, I don't got time for that.
And what they're gonna eat, and how their clothes are gonna get washed, and how blah blah blah.
Yeah, it can be a bit taxing if you're not ready for it. But it's a commitment.
And
It's a
it's
it's a
worth it.
commitment, right? It's definitely worth it.
Definitely worth
Definitely worth it. So you gotta be prepared to make some change.
it. Mm.
Not that you have to change as an individual of who you are and your identity, but changing just kind of some of the ways you move through the world when it comes to your spouse. And we live in this world of just microwave mentality. We want it right now,
Right.
and this is what I want, and it
Quick,
doesn't
quick.
matter what who anybody else wants. We can't live that way in a marriage, not a successful marriage. So you got to do things to kind of spice it up, date nights and you know spontaneous trips, maybe
Hmm.
even. Um,
Love letters are
yes,
always nice. Text messages,
so,
unexpected.
some non-sexual touches and
Oh,
those
massages.
massages and those
No, no, no.
kind
This one.
really again like that. You have
Yeah.
those kinds of things. You have to really truly prepare yourself for when you decide to make that decision. So, um, man, we wanted to at least get on here and talk about that a bit. So because change is it's inevitable. It's inevitable, and it's a part of the step in walking in a marriage. You shouldn't be doing what you were doing 10 years ago.
That's right.
Even shoot, I'd say even 5 years ago. I mean, because that can be boring. Imagine having to eat the same meal for 5 years straight, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That would get boring. And after a while, it's almost like there's no taste at all, and you don't even want it anymore. That's why you got to do stuff different. You got to change it a little bit.
And
And
always for the better, always
yeah,
growth. And that means that's why it's important too, the continuing communication. Because as I grow and as I mature, the things I like, change, and being able to talk to him about those things so that he can meet those needs are important. Just like you did in the beginning when we talk about unmet expectations.
Yes.
Same thing, right? So as these things change and grow and move, let's talk about it. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I like. For some reason, this is kind of where my needs are, so that they can be able to meet those needs. Because if you don't ever tell them, I don't know how you expect them to know.
You can't.
Now, no, now I don't like back rubs. I only like elbow rubs or whatever ridiculousness is, right? But if you don't tell them, how would they know? And then you're all upset. It's like, oh, he just does. It's just not the same as it used to be. Well, why? Because you haven't said anything about it. And guess what? He hasn't even asked.
That.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't care to tell me, and I don't care to ask. And so we just keep doing whatever it is that we're doing and wondering why this marriage is so stale.
Yeah. It happens. It's unfortunate.
I
That's
think
exactly
you'll
what
know
happens.
it happens, right?
It does.
Definitely.
Because she should know. She should already know. If she saw such and such, it should be evident that blah, blah, blah. No.
We've been together for this long. I can't believe he doesn't know that. He should know that. Well, it just changed. You just said yourself. You used to like this and now you like this. And
talk.
Some food for thought.
Open up your mouth. Communicate. Have those conversations. Because they're crucial to the growth in your relationship. Especially when it's kind of stagnant. And you kind of feel that complacency kind of coming on. It's time to kind of shake it up a little bit. Do something different.
That's right.
Go get you a blonde wig and a mini skirt or something. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna wear all that?
I almost cussed.
No. Oh, you silly.
Absolutely not. I'm just giving you,
some ideas.
Some ideas that y'all can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do those things to kind of spice it up a bit, because marriage is it's a wonderful thing, man. I know we see terrible representations of it sometimes on out in the world, but just know that if you find that person that is for you, man, it can be more than you ever could have imagined.
And be willing to make it that. It's gonna take some work. It's always, anything worth having is worth working for, and your marriage is one of those things. Definitely.
It is. That was easy enough.
Yes. You'll probably see more of these as we move forward. Just popping in and say this and that, and not being before you too long, as James always says, but just a little gem, little nugget here and there. We have some things up our sleeves, so
we do. Even some little pop-ins, spotlights, different areas around the area, around town, to give ideas to make some change. I think last year or last year we did a crawfish tour. Just going around doing a crawfish tour. We it's crawfish season again, so we might have to jump in there
crawfish season
and do that. We got some trips coming up here soon, so we might just go live wherever we are. But we want to give you ideas, give you some tips to keep it interesting, because that is important, that you keep the marriage alive, and it takes effort to do that. So there you go. We thank you for those of you that are watching now. Please share this information with anyone you think that can use it. Comment, subscribe, like, dislike, whatever you want to do, whatever the engagement might be. But we want you to share the information out there for people that can use it to help to keep this marriage thing to be as cool as it is.
Absolutely.
All right. Like we always say, do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. I'm James Lee.
I'm Tasha Lee.
We'll talk to you soon.